Hey guys, welcome aboard. This is the very first show of the Wizard's Lair. Welcome to it. I am the host of said show. My name is Scott the Steamroller Steve. I am joined with a panel of very good friends and very good handicappers. Let's start with Sniper Wes. Wes, what's up, buddy? How are you out there in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it's going well, man. Super excited to be part of the team over here at Wizards Sports Picks. Very excited about the show, the Wizard's Lair. I'm looking forward to doing it every single Wednesday here and bringing you guys a ton of winners.
Excellent. Yes, we've been together. This group has been together for quite a while, and it's good to have the band back together doing another show. Let's talk to the pride of OHIO, now making his home in Houston, Texas. It is the one, the only David Delano. What up, Double D?
Hey, man, what's going on? Glad to be on here. One of the better, it's kind of sad football's coming to an end, but this is really one of the better sports weekends of the entire year, college and NFL, so I'm ready to get to it.
And it really kind of kicked off with a pretty good game Monday night in the FCS. If anybody watched the Montana State, Illinois State game, that was an all-timer, man. Yeah. I had the over. I had the over 58.5, so when it was tied at 56, I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, great game, and it kicked off what you talked about is a great week, maybe the best week of football that there is, with the 2 semifinal games and 6 NFL playoff games. And of course, we can always be accused of saving the best for last, and that's exactly what we've done here. The pride of Philly, baby. The pride of Philly. Get yourself a cheesesteak, put on your Phillies hat, and let's go throw snowballs at Santa. It is Tom Macrina, a.k.a. Rye Cape. What up, Cape?
Yeah, it's this is certainly an exciting weekend in sports. Yeah, football is pretty much done, so we're getting into basketball shortly, which is exciting. But yeah, I'm sad to see football to go. I'm happy to see you guys.
It's great to be back together, and this is going to be the first week of, like Wes said, of a weekly show. Occasionally, we'll have some guests on here to lend their thoughts to what's going on, but it will always be this core 4. So glad you found us. Make sure you bookmark and make sure you come back and see us. And make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com, plural on all 3 words. A very, very cool site run by some guys that have been in the handicapping business a very long time. Wes, I know you've been you're a good friend of the Wizard, and I know you've been talking to him for quite a while. Can you give us just a little bit of insight into the quality of picks that are available over on the wizardsportspicks.com site?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we call him Wiz for short, which I found out very quickly. Guy is probably one of the best sports or horse handicappers in the United States. Very, very successful. You can see him on multiple outlets as far as it comes to the racing community. And he's decided to branch out into sports. And why not? I mean, it's an exploding industry right now with all the DraftKings and FanDuel ads that you see in every single game. So, yeah, I'm super excited to be over here at Wizards. And you should also check out Beyond the Lines, which is a daily show. I actually just got moved to Fridays. I'll be doing a daily video Friday on Beyond the Lines. I know Tom, I believe he goes on Monday. And we have several other handicappers that alternate every single day of the week. So you can find content here every day. We're going to be doing some other stuff here shortly, but we have this show every Wednesday, and then Beyond the Lines is a daily show over at the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, a lot of great content over on wizardsportspicks.com, and a lot more great content on the way. And while we're talking about great content, we talk about great handicappers. Let's check the leaderboard, shall we? Take a look at what we've got going on, who's hot, and who is waiting to go on a hot streak. There we go. All right, and if you picked out your favorite handicapper, if you picked out somebody in the sport that is doing well, you want to grab their premium plays, make sure you get over there to Wizards, sign up. Very, very simple process, and you can get in the game. And just because if you don't want to pay for picks, if you just want to see some free picks, we got you covered there too. Just give us your email address, put it in the box there, and we will send you free plays each and every day. Before we get to the games, you know, I know a lot of people are kind of new to handicapping. Maybe they haven't been doing it their entire lives like we have, or maybe they're just kind of late getting started. We're going to talk every week. We're going to throw out what we call our Wizard School. And by the way, all the names that we've come up with are pretty much courtesy of Tom, who wears a wizard hat in real life. I think he's a big fan of wizards. And Tom, have you seen all the Harry Potter movies?
I have.
I've
read the books too. So.
There you go. Outstanding. So this is a segment we call Wizarding School. And we're going to talk about a topic that comes up a lot between the four of us in our group chat as we talk about different strategies that we employ. And we, although all of us have been doing this a very long time, I think all of us have been doing this at least a decade or longer. We each have different approaches. And today we're going to talk about line movement and what in the business we call chasing the steam, which means chasing the way that the line is moving. And then there's really a couple of different ways that lines move. Number one, intense public pressure. That's a lot of money coming in from the betting public, and the line moves accordingly away from those bets to make like let's say you've got Kansas City -3. A lot of money comes in from the public on the Chiefs. They move that number to 3.5 or 4. So in other words, they make it less attractive the more money that comes in. The other way that money lines move is what they call smart money. It's basically the pros versus the Joes. You may see 70% of the bets are coming in on the Chiefs, but 80% of the money is on the Raiders. And that means what, Wes, when we see those kind of disparities?
That would mean smart money would be on the Raiders in that instance, right? So we have a little game that we play that we actually just started this weekend, right after the regular season week 18 ended, called Guess That Line, that us four do. And we try to guess what the line is going to be for all 6, well, at least this weekend, all 6 NFL games before they are posted, right? And some of us nailed them right on the head. I think we all nailed the Houston-Pittsburgh game. We all nailed the Chargers-New England game. We were way off on that Rams-Carolina game. That Rams-Carolina game, keep in mind, Carolina beat the Rams in Carolina earlier this year. And that opened Rams -10. I thought it was going to open maybe Carolina, +7 or Rams -7, right?
Right.
So I was almost a full field goal off, just based on the fact that Carolina beat them earlier this year. I get that Devontae Adams is coming back, but he's definitely not worth 3 points in my opinion. But I was very surprised. I think maybe the odds makers, they think that they could put this line at 11 or 12 and they will still see Rams money, which very well could be the case. But I was a little shocked on that Carolina line. But yeah, essentially speaking, going back to where these lines open and everything and chasing steam, the sharps are going to bet these games early, right? When I say sharps, that's a professional sports bettor. So, the public does not bet games on Monday. They bet games 5 minutes before kickoff. Right?
Let's talk about that for just a minute, because there's a couple of books that release lines early, but they're not available to the public. They release lines to the sharps. They see what the sharps are going to do, and then they adjust their lines accordingly. So I know a lot of people don't know how that works, but there's a couple of books that do that, and then everybody else goes off of those books. Now, Wes, do you chase the steam? Do you look for that line movement? Does that matter to you, or do you have the game handicapped? In other words, if you handicap a game a certain way, do you bet that regardless of how the steam moves?
So with my power, I have a power rating system. So, eventually the line is going to, before they come out, I try to have my number where I want it to be. If it's, the further off it is, maybe it's a bigger play for me, right? But if I see it moving early because maybe a sharp bettor hit it or a sharp syndicate hit it, if you're going to chase the steam, you got to chase it early. You don't want to chase it after it's moved a full point or point and a half. At that point, it's almost more value to go on the other side, right?
Right.
So, in my opinion, if you want to chase the steam, it's not a bad idea. A lot of times, chasing the steam, the game actually goes that way. But you have to be very careful because it can get out of hand where it's 2 points away from where it opened, and you're still chasing it, and then it lands 1 point over where it originally was. So, something you have to be very careful about. But according to where you think the line should be, you should either bet early or bet late. If you don't want to chase the steam, you should wait till right before kickoff to bet it, right? If you like the other side, in my opinion.
David, do you get that pit in your stomach when you bet the Lakers -4.5, and at game time you now see it's the Lakers -2.5? Do you feel like you've got on the wrong side? Do you get a little knot in the pit of your stomach, wondering if you've gone the right way or not?
No, I don't. One thing that I've realized for myself is I think more so I worry more like, let's say college basketball, if I take an over 151 and then it drops, it's like 146. I don't know. I feel like, dang, if I would have waited, I could have got a better number on it. But no, I don't so much feel like that. I think for me, sometimes when I look at those numbers and you talk about chasing steam, they kind of mess me up, to be honest with you. Over the years, the more I start to worry about what everybody else is doing, the worse I do. Sometimes it's better for me to kind of just block out everything. When I look at it, it's sometimes when I'm on the fence with something. For example, this last regular season game, the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, I liked Pittsburgh early, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to pull the trigger. And then at the last minute, I kind of went the other way. I saw Pittsburgh went all the way up to 4.5, and then I jumped on it. Not that we would have even needed those points. So sometimes if I see maybe the place where there's value, and just to kind of point it out, I think that the San Francisco was about a 3-point dog to Philadelphia right now. And I see right now Philadelphia is a 4.5-point favorite. In those types of situations, I'm not looking at it and saying like, oh, let me get on San Francisco because the sharp money, the money's moving where Philly's the right side. I'm looking at it more at this point. I either want San Francisco or I may just leave the game, just stay away from it. But I'm not saying like, oh man, that's the right side, so let me jump on it.
That's very fair. Tom, a lot of times you get a little preview of which way the line's moving by the fact that the juice is no longer minus 110. You'll see it at minus 115, at minus 120, which is a sign that it's going that direction. Do you pay that extra juice, or do you try to grab it? Do you wait and try to grab the new number?
Well, usually I pay the extra juice because I'm taking a dog, and that just means I'm getting a worse number if I don't pay the juice.
Okay.
So that's the reason I do that. But yeah, I'm not a steam chaser. If it gets too out of range for me, I'll just stay away from the game.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important point to make through all this, that if you've handicapped a game a certain way and all of a sudden that number starts getting away from you, it's many times a better bet not to bet. Just let it go. If you've like David was talking about in totals, if you've lost 5 points in value of a total, for me, most cases, it's going to be a stay away for sure. And one other thing that I do want to bring up before we move on, a lot of times you'll see different sites touting the fact that 60% of the public is on this, but 70% of the money is on this. Now, just know those are not real figures from any sports book, unless you're seeing an interview with a director of the sports book and he's giving you some insight. Then obviously that's going to be something that's true. But if you see different sites, those are just based on numbers, the people that bet through their site or people that report their bets. Those aren't true numbers, right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's like for example, Covers. If you covers.com, that's a very popular handicapping site. They do polls. Right. They just make a poll of their audience, and they say, the Rams are taking all the action or whatnot, right? One more thing I wanted to say real quick on this topic. So let's say, for example, because you can get the hedgers too, or the arbitrage bettors, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because that's a whole topic for another show.
It
but
is.
If the Dallas Cowboys open minus 2.5 against the Giants, and it's going to 3 or 3.5, you can, lay the 2.5 with the Cowboys, wait till it gets to 3.5 and take the Giants and hope that game, the Cowboys win by 3 points and you win 2 tickets. Yep. I know I just blew a lot of craniums out there with the emoji, the mind blown emoji, right? We could talk about that at a later date, but you get that too, right?
Yeah. Well, Wes is saying, and I don't want to go too long, but a lot of times people can worry about where the sharp bettors are. But like Wes is saying, sometimes it could be on both sides of the game. So the same people could be, and also those limits for these NFL lines, the limits are also lower early in the week. So sometimes, even though you see people hitting those lines change, and those same bettors are coming in later on the other side. You're chasing steam, and you're chasing that steam, and now they're going against the steam with higher limits later on.
Yep, that's absolutely true. And we will talk about middling or arbitrage at a later date, because that's it's a very popular thing. It's not illegal, but it's something that can get you banned if you get caught. It's like counting cards in Vegas. You're not going to jail, but you're probably not going back to that casino. So, all right, there you go. All right, so this is a little segment we like to call the prophecy takes. Let's start with like hot takes. Who's got a hot controversial take? Anybody? Wes, what do you got?
Yeah, I was thinking about this just because I was reading our notes earlier. I think so. Of the 7 NFL head coaching vacancies, obviously John Harbaugh is probably the best coach available, in my opinion. I'm sure you guys probably agree with me. Number 2 would probably be Stefanski. So those guys are definitely going to get hired. By the way, when an organization lets a coach go and that coach immediately fields 3 to 4 to 5 phone calls from other teams, it probably wasn't a good idea to let that coach go. Right?
They were saying that Harbaugh's got inquiries from 7 teams already.
Yeah, but there's only 7 vacancies.
There's only 7 vacancies.
Yeah, and one of the teams fired him, so they're not hiring him back.
Right,
Yeah,
which means
exactly.
there's a team that has a head coach right now that if Harbaugh went, I'll go there, they would fire their head coach and hire Harbaugh.
Maybe Tampa
Well,
Bay.
they are
They
smart.
say the word. Todd Bowles is out of here.
There you go.
Anyway, so my hot take is I think Mike McCarthy is going to be back in the league and he'll be a head coach again. McCarthy, pretty good head coach with the Cowboys. He won 12 games 4 times with the Cowboys, with Jerry Jones acting like his daddy over his shoulder, which is just, it's not a very easy thing. And, he won the Super Bowl with Green Bay, very good offensive mind. I think he gets another chance. I think Mike McCarthy is a head coach again.
I'm going to give you my hot take, and I shared this with my group. I think Andy Reid's done. I have nothing to base it on. I have absolutely no insight whatsoever. It's just a feeling. He may go another year, but I would not be shocked if he resigned very, very soon. That's my hot take. Dave,
I've been going
Change the
since
whole
1999. Yes,
that
he
changes
did.
the whole landscape tremendously when you start talking about most desirable head coaching job.
I don't know. I think he just retire. I don't think he just wants to leave the Chiefs. I think if he left the Chiefs, he's out. I think this is his last job. I don't think he'd go somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I'm saying though that job is very desirable.
Oh, yeah.
With Patrick Mahomes there.
Yeah, pretty fair quarterback, pretty fair legacy there. Yeah, absolutely. Good GM. For sure. Dave, you got a hot take for us?
I think the Browns should promote Jim Schwartz from defensive coordinator to head coach. I think that it's time for Schwartz. I'd like to see. There's still really a lot of good things on that Cleveland team, though, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I'd like to see them keep half of that intact. So I would like to see that. And then another thing I saw, mixed feelings with Stefanski. But for the record, I did hear that Stefanski was highly against the trade to bring in Deshaun Watson, which is probably what really trading Baker Mayfield, bringing in Deshaun Watson kind of put things in the wrong direction, and he was against that. So at least that's what I'm hearing. But I think Jim Schwartz, I'd like to see get the job.
Quick question for you as a Browns fan. Is that the worst trade in NFL history?
Yeah, I can't think of a worse one. I know they talk about the Herschel Walker one back in the day, but no, I think that this is the worst one that I can remember. I can't think of a worse one.
They gave him 3 threes, right?
I try not to think about it too much, but yeah, at least three ones, I believe. And he's still under contract for next year. They talk about Deshaun Watson is still going to be a Brown next year. So.
And guaranteed it all. Guaranteed the whole thing. Just absolutely outrageous. Tommy, I know you got a hot take living in Philly. People on the East Coast always have opinions that no one wants to hear. So
yeah, I don't know how much of a hot take it is, but I think the Atlanta Falcons job is the best job right now. We know this defense is good. You're playing in the NFC South. I don't know what they're going to do with the quarterback, but you have plenty of options. If you don't like Penix, I guess you get rid of him. Somebody might trade for Kirk Cousins. You could start over again with quarterback. But I think you get a good coach in this Atlanta Falcons franchise, and this team's a contender right away.
Okay. That really is a pretty hot take. All right. We talked about some of the best coaching jobs. Wes, what's the worst coaching job out there? What's the job that you would know that you're just going to get hired to get fired?
Probably the Raiders.
Yeah.
They don't have any talent, man. Bowers is probably their tight end, is probably the best player on their team, which is never a good sign. They just need an overhaul there, man. Do you realize the Raiders have 5 ex-head coaches still on payroll? Paying them a lot of money, like $50 million. Like they still have McDaniels on payroll, Gruden, Antonio Pierce, now Pete Carroll.
All right.
And I'm forgetting somebody, but there's another one too.
Here's a fun fact about the Raiders head coaches. If the Chiefs would have won that game in week 17, Andy Reid would have been the winningest coach in Allegiant Stadium.
Wow. That's sad.
Yep, absolutely. Dave, you agree Raiders' worst job out there?
He's thinking really hard about it.
Possibly.
There he is. Sorry.
If you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can now. Yeah.
I think that Cardinals job could possibly. I mean, it's hard. You can't really go against the Raiders, but I'd say a close second would be the Cardinals, just because with Kyler Murray, it seems like they're going in another direction there. So they have to figure out the quarterback situation. That's a tough division. I mean, you talk about the NFC South and all of that, but the NFC West, with the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Rams, it's going to be a tough division there.
When 75% of the teams in the division make the playoffs, it's hard to get a toehold there.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to win there. And I think the NFC right now is just more difficult, in my opinion.
So, Tom, let me ask you this: is the Baltimore job a bad job because of the expectations? Because you don't have, if you win 7 or 8 games in Las Vegas, people are thrilled. You win 7 or 8 games in Baltimore, you're probably out on your butt.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer does Lamar Jackson have? He didn't have a great year. It doesn't look like he could use his feet like he used to. I don't think this defense is great. I mean, they need more pieces. It's an aging roster, so yeah, I don't think so.
Apparently, they're going to be looking for a kicker.
Yeah, but Pittsburgh's roster is still. I mean, what's Pittsburgh going to do? Cleveland has some promising pieces, but the Cleveland always finds a way to mess it up. The Bengals have promising pieces, but with Zach Taylor, they don't seem to be going in the right direction. So that division, though, still is. I mean, there's no reason that someone shouldn't be able to come and take that Baltimore job and win that division.
Yeah, that's a good.
Real quick, do any playoff coaches get fired?
Well, I don't know. Tomlin gets fired. Obviously, they're talking about maybe him. Mutual parting of ways.
What about Matt LaFleur?
1941 is the last time the Steelers fired a coach, by the way.
Wow.
I don't know if any of you guys remember that.
Is that when they hired Chuck Noll? No, I'm kidding.
Tom,
that's how they operate.
Tom, you asked about LaFleur. Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's probably I mean, they have a couple playoff wins. I remember they went into Dallas and they stuck it to Dallas. Was that 2 years ago? They've had a little bit of success, but yeah, I mean, it's time for them to put up or shut up for sure. Jordan,
that injury to Micah Parsons lets him off the hook a little bit.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, that's kind of his escape hatch there. All right, guys. So very good. That was kind of fun. All right, so this is a segment we call the Crystal Ball Breakdown. All right, everybody have their crystal balls out. Let's start in the college ranks, something we haven't talked about very much. We got the national semifinals, the same 4 teams that everyone here picked, I'm sure.
Yeah, right.
let's start with Miami and Ole Miss, not Old Miss, Ole Miss. Miami is I only have the total on this one. What's
3.5 point favorite?
3.5.
52 is the total.
I got 52.5. I'm using DraftKings for everything, by the way. But yeah, Miami's 3.5 point favorite. Ole Miss, that's the team there from the SEC. It just hits different. Does that mean anything to you? Wes, give us your takes on this one.
Well, nobody expected Miami to be here, obviously. Miami's defense has been very impressive. They've held their last 6 opponents to 17 points or fewer, which is really good considering their competition. They played really well versus the run. They've controlled the line of scrimmage. Carson Beck, you say what you will about him, he has a lot of haters, but he's kind of done the Trent Dilfer thing, right? Just protect the ball, don't turn it over, don't screw it up, let the defense play their game, hand the ball off. On the Ole Miss side, obviously Lane Kiffin's departure, the team's played well. It seems like they almost haven't missed him, right? But Ole Miss, they can put up points. They put up 39 against Georgia, 41 against Tulane. But this defense in Miami, I'm telling you, it's a different animal. I think they're going to have a little bit of trouble here. And I like the under. It's 50, like you said, 52.5. And we were talking about public fades. This probably will be a pretty good public fade because, Ole Miss, everybody thinks they're going to put up a lot of points. but it's set at 52.5, and I think that's probably a good line. That's where the odds makers want it. I think it's going to be lower than most people think, and I'm going to take the under 52.5 here.
Okay, I think that's a good play. Yeah, you talk about the last 6 for the Hurricanes, giving up 9.7 points per game, no more than 17, and that includes giving up just 2 touchdowns to the Ohio State, arguably, certainly a top 3 offense in the country. So, Dave, you agree or disagree?
You got to check out wizardsportspicks.com for my best bet on this one. You'll find out whether I agree or disagree.
Nice plug, buddy. Nice plug. Nice plug indeed. Tommy, you got a freebie on this one?
Yeah, I really don't hate the under. I kind of disagree with who wins this game. Miami's going to have to run the ball to keep the ball out of Ole Miss's offense's hands. I respect Miami's defense, but I think Chambliss he could get away. This is an explosive offense. They like the big plays, and there's just something about Ole Miss this season. I think they win this one. I like them.
Okay.
Actually, I read somewhere that 1985 Michigan coach for college basketball left, and the new guy brought him to a championship.
Yes, yeah, 1989, I think, yeah.
Yeah, something around there.
Okay.
So yeah, I either teams, when the coach leaves, they go downhill, or they all come together and they play really, really well. And that's what this Ole Miss team is doing. Miami made a good run. I mean, both of these teams are Cinderellas, really. But I think Ole Miss, their offense is going to be too much for this Miami team. Just the big plays is what I like.
Sure.
I do think it stays under.
Very good. All right, Dave, we got everybody's darling, the Indiana Hoosiers minus 3.5 against Oregon. Total in that game is 48.5. How do you see this one?
Yeah, well, good. Interesting thing with this is that we saw this game earlier this season, back October 11th, when Indiana won 30-20. Now that game was in Oregon, and Indiana was actually a 7.5-point dog in that game. They went in and won outright. Now, one thing that really jumps out at me for this game is there were 3 turnovers in that game, 3 interceptions that all came in the fourth quarter. Mendoza threw an interception early for a pick 6 that got taken back, that tied the game at 20. Indiana went on a drive after that. Long drive, went up 27-20. The very next 2 times Oregon had the ball, more through picks, next 2 possessions. So 3 interceptions all came in the fourth quarter. Where I'm going with that is I think that neither one of these teams want to make mistakes. So I think that we're going to see it a bit conservative, especially in the first half. And one thing for me, in these bowl games, these unders have definitely been cashing. Full game unders, it gets a little tough because the season's on the line right now. So you're going to see things open up. Everyone's going to keep playing until the end. There's always a possibility of overtime. But we saw Oregon with 6 points in the first half. We saw Indiana scoreless in the first quarter against Alabama. They stepped it up in the second quarter, but that was still only 17 points in the first half. I like the under 23 in the first half in this game between Oregon and Indiana, which is actually where they fell at the first time they played. So I think we're going to see a low-scoring game early.
Very good. And with Mendoza winning the Heisman Trophy and all the talk about the Indiana offense, they kind of forget how good this Indiana defense is. And in that first game that we were talking about, they give up just 81 rush yards and 186 passing yards. So that's when you're able to hold a team like Oregon under 300 total yards, you're always going to have a chance to win the game. Tom, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so talking about line movement, last week I was high on Texas Tech. I actually stayed off because of the way that the line was moving towards Oregon. We actually see that again this week against Indiana. The difference here for me is really the coaching. Indiana, they play a clean game. They don't make mistakes, but when you make mistakes, they jump right on it. So, yeah, I know when you play a team a second time, the loser usually learns more, but I just can't fade this Indiana team. I think they're going to be ready to play. This is a huge game for the whole state.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I like Indiana here.
All right, Wes, you on Indiana minus 3.5?
Well, I think so, but I do like the under a lot too. I like Dave's angle on the first half, to be honest with you. So they held Alabama to 3 points and Ohio State to 10. That's just very impressive against two, fantastic programs. The only teams to score 20 or more points against Indiana this year were Penn State and Oregon, right? In that game where Oregon scored 20 points. But as Dave alluded to, one of those was on a pick six. It wasn't a defensive fault. So, I like the under. I was going to say full game under, but when Dave said the first half under, I kind of actually like that a little bit more, honestly.
All right. Very solid. All right, guys, let's talk a little NFL, shall we? Tom, first NFL game kicks off. It's going to be the Rams and Carolina. As we talked about earlier, the Rams a 10.5 point favorite here with a total of 46.5. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I as Wes said earlier, I actually think we might see a 12.5 possibly. But these teams already faced off in Carolina. Carolina upset the Rams 30-28. Neither of these teams have really been too good. Carolina finished down the stretch 1-4. Rams were 3-3 down the stretch. I just think this number is too big. I'm going to wait to see how high it goes, and I'm going to take Carolina. I'm not a fan of any team under 500 being in the playoffs, but that's how it is. Let's see what Carolina does. The thing about Carolina, too, I think if they get a quarterback, I like this coach, Cannell. I think this team could be good, like, right away.
Okay. Not sold on
Yeah, this is not their year, but I'm definitely taking them on the spread. I just think it's too many points.
Okay. Yeah, and let's and speaking of line moves, we didn't talk about was key numbers, and obviously key numbers 3, 4, 7, 10. Once it goes over 10, it takes a lot less to move that number from 10 until you get to 13. So there's a very good chance you could get 11.5 or 12 on this game if the Rams money comes in. Wes, how are you seeing this one?
Yeah, and speaking of that, we were talking about the line movement earlier, as you alluded to. You might want to wait. If you like the Panthers here, the longer you wait, if it gets, up to 12 or something like that, you get a little bit better of a line, right? But that being said, I actually like the over in this spot, okay? So remember, as Tom said, this the first time they played, it was 31-28, so it was a very high-scoring game. The weather should be fine. They said there should be a little bit of rain, but I think it's going to be okay. Devontae Adams is back. So who are you going to double? You're going to double Puka or are you going to double Devontae? Either way, that's probably not a good situation for Carolina's defense. LA's defense has been shaky. They've given up 20, 24, 37, and 34 their last 4 games. The Rams were 10-7 to the over this year. Like the over here. I think it's another high-scoring game.
Dave?
Yeah, I know we're not talking about college anymore, but Michael Irvin with Miami, he's been like taking his belt off and he like whips a little, whips something with the other team, a little dummy, like doing a belt to ass. I think this would be the belt to ass play of the week for me. I don't like Carolina at 10.5. I don't like them at 12.5. I think that the Rams are going to hammer Carolina. I really don't like laying big numbers a lot of times in the NFL, but Rams turned the ball over 3 times the first game. I have the Rams as the best team in the NFL. I think that they're going to roll them. I think that the Rams are going to win this game by 17 plus. So I like it at 10.5. People watching it late, 13.5. I think we're going to have a rout. I just don't believe in this Carolina team in this situation. I think this Rams team's ready, and I think we're going to see a rout.
Dave says,
see, I think Carolina can move the ball through the air on this defense, the secondary.
Yeah.
I think they could keep up. If it's a shootout, I think that's even better for Carolina.
Yeah, and also if Carolina does win this game, I don't think they will. But if they were to, they're not going to win a 17-14 game. It's going to be 31-20. It's going to be a higher scoring game. But it kind of sounds like we have a pie to the face bet there between me and Tom and Dave on the other side.
We need to load up the lone wolf.
Exactly.
Background noise. I was going to say music, but yeah. So Dave, not a fan of the Panthers. Doesn't like them with a fox, not in a box, not on a train. None of that stuff. You're not like the Carolina Panthers, Sam. I am. All right, very good. And you watch. There's a couple of Panthers games where you can certainly make the case that they are not a good football team at all. Although having just a little rain would be a nice change of pace from that game last week. I'm not sure exactly what we learned about either team down there in that monsoon in Tampa. Where are we at, Wes? We got the Green Bay Chicago NFL game, and this is going to be a triple rematch, as these teams have already played twice this season. Packers 1.5 point road favorites, 45.5 is your total. Tell us about this one, Wes.
Yeah, so again, going back to line movement, we've been talking about it. So the Packers opened, depending on what book, I think some books they opened as a small favorite. Some books they opened as a pick'em. And they are now actually they're favored now, right? They're -1 or -1.5 now.
-1.5 according to DraftKings. Yes, -1.5.
There are still some.
-102.
There are still some them as dog too. Some books have them as dogs.
Were the Bears favored at any point? Because I think this line has been teeter-tottering like a seesaw around 0. Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyway, that being said, the Bears have a very poor strength of schedule. Jordan Love is back. Chicago, obviously, if you remember Caleb Williams, he threw that bomb to win that game. And I think that was right before Christmas, right? The weather could be an issue here. It's supposed to be 34 degrees, chance of rain and snow, and they do not call it the Windy City for no reason at all. I read somewhere that it's going to be 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, which could hinder field goals and maybe even passes. And I like the under here on that last game when, when Caleb threw that pass to the end zone. It was 22-16. That went under the total. I think it's going to be a low scoring game here. Good old fashioned NFC North football. What is that? The black and blue division, I believe they call it.
Yeah, the black and blue division.
I think they're all going to be black and blue after this game, and I think it's an under. So give me under 45.5.
Very good. And let's all say it together here, guys. For some of our novice handicappers, when you're looking at a total, you're tempted to go under. It's not the rain. It's not the snow. It's what?
The wind.
That's right. It's the wind. It's always the wind. And there's sites you can find the information, or you can just do it the old school way. Check the weather forecast, see which way the wind's blowing, and then put that over a schematic of the stadium. And a crosswind is probably the thing that you don't want. Probably the thing that impacts the game the most, because if it's going end to end, obviously you're going to have it good for half the time. You're going to have it bad for half the time. If it's going crossways, both teams are going to have it bad for all 4 quarters. So
speaking on that, Scott, real quick. So I know there was a website talking about baseball betting real quick. There was a website called windatwrigley.com. I don't know if it still exists or not, but it would always tell you whether the wind's blowing in or out if you want to bet the total.
Mm-hmm.
At Wrigley, which they don't even release totals at Wrigley till day of the game, like before. Not right before, until they know, right?
Very frustrating.
Can you track that though, like at Soldier Field, which way the wind is blowing? I'm sure you probably can, right?
Sure. You can go to Google Earth and zero in on the stadium and see which way the stadium sits, and then overlay the wind direction over the stadium. That's how I do it. I know there's a site that at least does it for baseball. I'm not sure they do it for football, but they do it for and I can't remember what it is.
Ballpark Pal does it for baseball.
Ballpark Pal, that's exactly right. It used to be free, and it no longer is.
That is also correct.
But they'll give you like the increased likelihood of runs being scored and the percentage of the increased likelihood of home runs and things like that. So very good site. But yeah, for football, you got to do it kind of old school there. Dave, how you feeling about this one?
I don't like the way that the Packers ended the season. I know that losing those last 4 games. I understand that they didn't care for the last one, and I know that the Bears lost their last 2, but still, that game against the 49ers, that was one of the best games of the season till that Pittsburgh Baltimore game, and they also showed some fight against the Lions. The Packers have been a little underwhelming, on the road this season. Early against the Browns, saw it against the 49ers. We saw it recently, down the stretch in the road. I think they lost about 3 out of their last 4 games that were on the road were losses. Their last win was against the Bears, but that was in Green Bay, and it was a pretty competitive game. I like the way that the Bears are coming together. I like the way that they run the ball. And I I like what Ben Johnson's doing with this team. And as hard as it is to say, it should be a great game. I like the Bears in this one.
All right, very good. Thomas, you on the Bears?
I'm not. I like the experience with Green Bay. I applaud Chicago for what they did. Great job. I think the fact that Green Bay knows this team helps them out a lot too. But yeah, I think the experience is what matters to me here. But I do like the under as well.
Okay.
I don't like
Green
that
Bay.
this game. Sorry, I don't want to cut it. I don't like the fact that this game's on Prime. I don't know if that's messing with any. Like, I don't know. I feel like for the old school football fans, thinking of my dad out here, is all these streaming services. It's just crazy trying to find these games.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. Dave, on Sunday, we've got the Bills at the Jaguars. Bills, once again, just like the Packers, 1.5-point road favorites. 51.5 is your total here. Josh Allen has no Patrick Mahomes down the road to knock him out of this year's playoff. Is this the Bills' year, Dave?
It's not the Bills' year, and I'm interested to see what happens here. A lot of people keep saying, Trevor Lawrence, this Jacksonville Jaguars team. I've been hearing it for a while, week after week. This team's phony. This team sucks. I don't know what team they're watching. Jacksonville team looks pretty good to me. 8-game winning streak now. The reason this line, even though they're in Jacksonville, it's only a 1.5 point dogs. You would think it might be a little bit more. Buffalo Bills, I think they're going to go the way of the Ravens. It looked like the first game of the season, we were seeing Bills-Ravens, a rematch of what was probably going to be the AFC Championship this year, possibly with the Chiefs also. We've seen the Chiefs didn't make it. We saw the Ravens didn't make it, and I think we're going to see that third team, the Buffalo Bills, take an early exit. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right. And, kind of a rule of thumb that I use, if you're going to take an underdog that's less than 3 points, just take them on the money line.
Yeah.
You guys agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Underdog, I'll take the points no matter what. But whenever I take an underdog, I back up the money line. So I put quarter unit or so on the money line.
Okay.
Playoffs, I might take the points. You take the money line, and they lose. It's like 28-27, and you're like, oh,
yeah, that's the worst.
I'm telling you, the numbers don't work that way. And it's like buying points. You're like, man, I should have bought points. No, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't ever buy points. Sorry, the numbers don't prove that out. But yeah, I get it. It's hard to not buy that. Hard to not play that 1.5 when it's a 28-27 final. And you go, I should have taken the points. All right. And Tommy, how you feeling about this one?
Yeah, this one's a tough one for me. Everybody's on Jacksonville, which worries me a little bit. But you can't run the ball against Jacksonville. The Bills, it's Josh Allen, it's James Cook. Their defense isn't that good. So what they're going to have to do is try to run the ball or Josh Allen magic. And we've seen what he did against the Eagles with that 2-point conversion. He couldn't get that well. I usually like to back win streaks. And I back Jacksonville a lot during this win streak. But when teams go into long win streaks into the playoffs, it concerns me a little bit. But I think Jacksonville's the play here. I just think they're better on both sides of the ball, offense, defense. I think Jacksonville's going to be able to move the ball however they want. And we know the Bills can't play good on the road. So,
yeah,
yep, I like Jacksonville.
Yeah, this is a Jacksonville team that has won. Sorry, guys. This is a Jacksonville team that has won, and more importantly, for our purposes, covered 8 straight. So you're jumping in front of a serious freight train there if you are taking the Buffalo Bills. All right, Tommy, you got your Philadelphia Eagles. I know this is a big one for you. The defending champions are there. Eagles at home -4.5 against the Niners. 44.5 is the total. Tell us why the Eagles were going to drop this one and not be world champions again, buddy.
Yeah, so I guess everybody's worried about Eagles offense. We've done it before. We've kind of had this situation last year. It wasn't as bad as it is now, but I think they have the weapons. They're going to get it going. They have Lane Johnson coming back. Defensively, they're one of the best defenses in the league. On the San Francisco side, their offenses look good, but they haven't looked good against good defenses. Colts, Falcons, teams like that is who they put up a lot of points at. We have history with San Francisco coming here. We see them in the playoffs a lot. I think the Eagles' offense is going to be able to move the ball, whether through the air or the ground. I think Saquon Barkley has a big game too. But Eagles win this. They cover. I think it's by more than a touchdown. No bias.
Fly, Eagles, fly. No bias.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Wes, are the Eagles going to be able to solve their offensive problems in time?
Yeah, well, if you remember, they rested. I think they played their starters for a quarter or one half last game, right, in Week 18.
Everybody's set. Pretty much all the main guys set. Devontae Smith played.
Yeah, so they're pretty well rested. I think the biggest thing here is if Trent Williams plays for the Niners, their offensive tackle, he's a big deal. The Niners could do nothing against the Seahawks, and a big reason Brock Purdy was running for his life was he was under pressure. They didn't have Trent Williams. I think that's a big deal. I checked before the show. They said he's still 50-50. He didn't practice today. And obviously, Ricky Pearsall is 50-50 as well, whether he's going to play.
He get shot again?
I think they both go.
Yeah, hopefully not. It's pretty crazy. How do you not win comeback player of the year after you got shot and you came back and played? Although they didn't give DeMar Hamlin comeback player of the year either.
Right. That seems to be the biggest injustice in the history of that award.
Yeah, but the Eagles, they had a real tough schedule, and the Niners, I know they play in the NFC West, but other than those teams, the divisional matchups, they played a bunch of cupcakes. So, yeah, I kind of like the Eagles.
Can I touch on that real quick? Hold on about the San Francisco schedule. At the beginning of the year, everybody was taking San Francisco futures because of how easy their schedule was, and their schedule was that easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I like the Eagles here. I agree. I think they're -4, right?
I got 4.5 on DraftKings, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably lay it with the Eagles before I would take it with the Niners. But I would watch that Trent Williams status because he's a big deal to that Niners offense.
That's absolutely correct. That is one of the biggest keys to the success of that 49ers offense is Trent Williams. And he's unfortunately been plagued by injuries over the last 2 or 3 years. And this is a Niners team that could be even better if he'd have been healthy throughout the entire season. Dave, why do you got this one handicapped?
Yeah, this one's a bit of a tough one for me. It's like I want to take the Niners. I mean, they're 7-2 with Purdy, with those losses though being coming off that loss against the Seahawks and also earlier this season those Jacksonville Jaguars. But it's hard to go against what Tom's saying. I don't have an official play on this one yet because what does worry me for San Francisco to cover, they're going to have to score a lot of points. I really don't trust that. I really don't trust that defense. And what we saw against Seattle, even though it was a 13-3 game, and they looked completely dominated in that game, and the Eagles do have a very strong defense. So I'm wondering if they're going to be able to score some points. We've seen that at times. I know that Brock Purdy didn't play against Tampa Bay, and he didn't play against the Texans, but we have seen this 49ers team struggle in some situations against some good teams where they couldn't score. So, as more as I'm thinking about it, I don't love it, but it seems like one of those lines when I first look at it, you're thinking, 49ers, you're getting 4.5 points, but Eagles are probably the play. I guess I'm leaning Eagles, but this might be one that I just stay away from.
Okay, there you go. You get to see the thought process in real time.
San Francisco's the public too, and we're moving to the Eagles' favor that line, so that's always a treat.
Yeah, that could definitely be -4 for sure. Could be even -3.5 by game time. All right, the other game Sunday is going to be the Chargers at the Patriots. Patriots -3.5, 46.5 is the total. Wes, what does that line seem light to you?
Well, we were talking about strength of schedule. So let's go ahead and talk about the New England Patriots, right? So I think I heard this from Bill Barnwell on ESPN, but he says the Patriots this year have had the easiest strength of schedule since the 1999 Rams, which went on to win the Super Bowl. That was the Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Dick Vermeil Rams, right? So take that for what you will. But obviously New England was 12-5 against the number, but obviously they play cupcakes, so take that for what you will as well. The Patriots lost 3 games this year. They're 14-3. All 3 losses were at home. Okay, keep that in mind. Chargers were 5-3 on the road, straight up. Okay. And LA rested their starters. If you remember, they did not play their starters in Denver. A pretty good football weather here. No snow, no rain. Two different styles as far as the total goes. The Chargers were a dead under team. They were 6-11 to the under. Patriots were 11-6 to the over. But, we do have two top 10 defenses here as it relates to points per game. Chargers give up 20 points per game. New England, 18 points per game against all those cupcakes. Total's 46.5. I like the under here. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game than most think. People have watched the Patriots go up and down the field all year long, but remember that was against, lackluster competition. I like the under here on Sunday Night Football. By the way, another little tidbit that I know that we have talked about in the past is last game on the board, dogs and unders, never a bad idea.
Okay. Why is that?
Because the public's betting over. So it's always a fantastic public fade.
Okay.
Everybody wants to catch up. They call it the late night bailout. Like, I've lost a bunch of money today. I know the Sunday Night Football game's going over. I'm going to put $1,000 on this game, and it goes under. It's tail as old
The
as time.
slaughter game.
Yeah.
Very good. Dave, you on the under too?
Not sure. I don't disagree with that. I think it's going to be one of those that you're really going to have to sweat out. I'm kind of thinking if you're on the under, are you leaning Patriots in this one with that? Because
you'll have to go to wizardsportspicks.com to get my premium play on that.
But you say leaning Chargers, yeah, I know if you're going under, but yeah, we'll have to check that out on Wizard. I don't know. I mean, the Patriots, I do think that if there's a path to victory for the Chargers, it's definitely going to be, airing it out against the Patriots. And I'm a little concerned with thinking about last year. I thought that I liked the Chargers going into that game against the Texans last year. And I think Herbert was picked off 4 times, I think. I'm just going to tell me, but he basically they just got annihilated. And that offensive line does concern me for the Chargers. I'm kind of leaning with the Patriots here. That 3.5, it doesn't always seem like the favorite number to take. They've had a weak schedule. They've actually been a better team on the road than they have been at home. But right now I'm leaning on the Patriots, but not my favorite play.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thomas?
Not my favorite either. I think I like the Chargers here. Vrabel's success in the playoffs isn't very good. A few years ago, he had the Titans as the number 1 seed, and they got knocked out in the second round, the first game they played. I think this Chargers defense is better than any defense that the Patriots have seen in the last few weeks. I like the Chargers. I like the under too.
Okay. For the record, Patriots roll them up. Just saying. All right. Last game, Monday night. If you didn't catch up Sunday night, man, you got to lean on this one. And what a game it is. This is going to be the Texans at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Texans -3. I think we all nailed this one as far as the number goes. And 39.5 is the number. Dave, bring us home. You're the Houston guy. I know you're a transplant, so you're not a true fan, but I know you watch this team pretty regularly. You got some insights. Tell us how this one goes.
Well, I mean, Tom may feel differently when he talked about the long winning streaks. He may not like Houston here. We talked about that 8-game winning streak for Jacksonville. We got a 9-game winning streak for Houston. The way they've turned things around. I mean, this defense is just ferocious. They turned things around and started. C.J. Stroud went down. They won about 3 games with Davis Mills, and now Stroud's back and they've been rolling. I think Pittsburgh. I liked Pittsburgh. I backed them last week against Baltimore. Mike Tomlin as a dog against Harbaugh just seems to have his number. That was such an emotional game. I think that was the playoff game for Pittsburgh last week. This is just a tough matchup for Pittsburgh. The way that they struggle to run the ball. I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers. We saw what Houston's done to some quarterbacks like Josh Allen this season, just completely shutting them down. And Texans, they got to be excited. They're actually playing Monday night. There's a joke around here that they were saying before the schedule came out, well, we know the Texans are going to be playing Saturday in the early game. Yeah. We almost forget that they're in the playoffs.
I was disappointed to see the schedule.
Yeah, now they're actually letting Houston, for the first time, they're letting the city of Houston enjoy the whole playoff weekend with the last game. I like the Texans in this spot. I think that it's going to be Tomlin's going to keep his job, but that is going to be that first round loss for the Steelers again.
Yeah, I don't think there's any shocker there. Tom, what do you think?
Isn't it unfortunate that they have to play the Steelers in Monday Night Football? I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, how good they were on Monday Night Football. They're the dog. Houston Texans are 0-6 in the playoffs on the road all time. I just think the Steelers figure out a way to get this one done.
All right, very good. And Wes, bring us home, baby.
Yeah, it's good football weather as far as the weather goes. It's no rain, no snow, not much wind. Remember the Texans' #1 defense in the NFL, arguably. Remember Aaron Rodgers looked fantastic against the Ravens in the second half last week, but the week before against Cleveland, Dave knows this, he looked terrible, and Cleveland has a great defense, right? Houston's defense is just as good as Cleveland's, if not better. So I think he's going to struggle. I just think there's a lot of public sentiment here for Tomlin and Rodgers, and people think they're going to fight, right? But I don't think so, man. I think the Texans are going to run away with this one. I think they win this by a touchdown or more.
Yep.
One thing I will say, I think this is the first time the Texans have made the playoffs as a wild card team. I think every other time they've won the South. And the only reason I'm pointing that out, I know Tom mentioned they're 0-6 on the road, but normally they've won those first round games. They've usually been at home. So normally it's been a little deeper in the playoffs. I remember some of those, against Baltimore, against the Chiefs. So just normally, yes, that is true. But normally it's been a little deeper in the playoffs against better teams. But you never know. That's another way to kind of look at that angle.
Yeah, we always hear about 28-3 in the Super Bowl, but we never hear about 24-0 in the first quarter or first half against Houston against the Chiefs, where the Chiefs came back and actually had the lead at halftime. Incredible there. So, all right, there you go, guys. That's pretty much a wrap. Wes, real quick, give us your best bet this weekend. Of those 8 games, what's your favorite?
We just talked about it. The Houston Texans -3.
Dave.
Gonna go Rams -10.5.
Wow.
All right, Tom.
Ole Miss, take them on the money line.
Ole Miss on the money line. All right, very good. I think my favorite play is the first play. I think that Miami Mississippi under is probably my favorite play.
I also really like. Sorry, Scott. You're good. I also really like that under that first half Penn State. I know there's been some a little on the fence, but I also really like that Penn State Oregon first half under as well.
You say Penn State?
Oh, Oregon and Oregon and Indiana.
Very good. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the first edition of the Wizards Lair. Don't forget to stop by wizardsportspicks.com, plural on all 3 words, wizardsportspicks.com. You get fantastic picks from us, a lot of other great handicappers that are over there, and I think you'll be really, really happy with the content. For myself, for Sniper West, let's figure out where you can see everybody. If you see it here, these are our handles. You can catch me at Steamroller. You can catch him at the Sniper Picks. David Delano is at Get Sports Strong, and Rye Cape is I can never remember it. What is it? Oh yeah, it's Rye Cape. There you go. So check him out as well.
I'm Tom Macrino on the sites.
He's Tom Macrino on the sites.
Currently, I guess I'll say I'm currently hacked on X. I've been trying to get back in there for a couple weeks. I might have to start another X page. So just for now, if you follow me on X, don't message me. And if I send you something and it's telling you to click, don't click on it. I think it's locked out now, but I'm hacked on X. So
we're getting sent to Sniper West's OnlyFans.
All right, yeah, very good. All right. Hey, Tom, I know we got a segment called the Mystic Niche. This is like some of the off-the-grid sports. I know you got one pick for us. Take us out with that soccer play, brother.
Yeah, Arsenal hosts Liverpool tomorrow. These are usually close matches. Arsenal is -180 favorite. I know a lot of people don't like to take that. I will. If you don't, not a problem. But I do have 2 goal scorers. One is Bukayo Saka at +200 and Leandro Trossard at +205. We only need to hit one. We hit both of them. We're having a nice payday.
All right. I think.
And for those watching, that game goes on Thursday, correct?
Thursday, yes.
Yes. And for the record, I believe those are both made up names. So we got to report that. So, all right, everybody. Thanks very much for tuning in to episode number 1 of the Wizards Lair. I'm Scott the Steamroller Steen. He's Sniper West. He's David Delano. and he is Tom Macrina, aka Rye Cape. You guys have a great week. Good luck on all your plays this weekend. And hey, you know what? We'll do it again next week. All right, guys, we will see you then. Take care, everybody.